Welcome to the First Overall Podcast, where we break down everything in the world of fantasy football. Here is your host, Rob and Kev.
Welcome into another episode of the First Overall Podcast. We're going to be touching on quarterbacks today, but we do want to quickly get into some breaking news that just came out just a little while ago, actually. We have two of the major free agents that have signed. They have officially picked their teams that they are going to sign with. For both of us, it's not really something that we were looking forward to. Looks like Zeke is heading to the Patriots on a one-year deal, roughly $8.6 million. And then we have Dalvin Cook, who has agreed to a one-year, $9 million deal with the Jets to go play with A-Rod and try to help them get to the Super Bowl. So how are we feeling about that?
I don't like the fact that the Patriots are going to get Zeke, and Zeke's probably going to have a resurgence. And wait, they still have Mac Jones as a quarterback, huh?
They do.
Yeah, never mind.
They do. My big issue is Zeke is a character. He's got that off the field mentality that comes with him, and we know that Belichick doesn't really like players that have that kind of mentality. We got to look and see exactly how this is going to be handled, because is Zeke going to be the same Zeke, or is he going to go in and kind of smart up a little bit and play in Belichick's system? Because if he does, that's a dangerous team, even with Mac Jones.
Remember, people said the same thing when Randy Moss went over there, and
true,
no issues. So
yeah, he went in straight cash. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with Mac Jones, I still see that as a dangerous situation with Zeke there. That defense is still elite. They still can hold offenses at bay. So if Mac now has a new weapon to work with, that kind of takes the heat off of him. It could make that team very dangerous. So it's definitely something to watch. And then Dalvin going to the Jets. I mean, not much needs to be said there. We already see the Jets stacking up firepower, and now they're going to add Dalvin.
Yeah. It'd be a shame if Aaron gets hurt.
Yeah. But my question is, what are they going to do with those running backs? They already have 6 running backs on staff. Who's going to get cut?
They're going to cut some tight ends. They're going to keep all those running backs.
I can't see them keeping all those running backs on staff. I mean, you got Breece Hall, you got Knight.
Well, Breece is going to stay. Breece is definitely staying.
Oh, of course, yeah. Breece is going to stay.
Yeah.
They drafted him high, so they're not going to get rid of him. Knight is a pretty decent running back when it gets into the numbers, when he's down in the red zone, smashing people around. But they have some talent at running back, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go about facilitating bringing in Dalvin Cook, who they're going to release. So
maybe they use them as trade value.
Yeah, they definitely could. And I mean, did you happen to watch any of the first episode of Hard Knocks?
No.
I watched it and it was hilarious. I can't eat as bad as I want to hate Aaron. I can't. I can't. When you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. I mean, he's that type of person that you want to be on his team. You just do. Like, he brings up the team. It doesn't matter his off the field stuff, because he doesn't have some of the crazy off the field stuff that some of the other quarterbacks have. But just seeing the way that the team vibes around him, that team is destined for greatness this season. It's kind of hard to see them lose.
Bro, how many other NFL quarterbacks do you know admittedly use freaking a psychedelic?
Not many. And he's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's not against the rules. There's nothing written in the rules that says that I can't do ayahuasca. So
yeah.
But yeah, as for the Jets running backs, they got Breece Hall. Currently, they have him listed as the starting running back. They have Dalvin Cook behind him. They have Michael Carter, and they have Zonovan Knight as their top 4. I think they have they have a couple other running backs that they may be able to cut. But from those 4, I think they might try to keep that core, because you can utilize any of those 4 in different situations.
Yeah, they'll probably throw 1 or 2 of them on the practice squad just to keep him on staff.
Looks like the Cowboys signed Zach Martin. They're going to give him $18 million over the next 2 years to keep him on staff. I know that there was some worry that he was going to leave, but they have silenced that and finally signed him in. You guys can't lose anyone else on that offensive line if you want to be any kind of contender.
And nobody can lose a major piece of their offensive line, regardless of what team it is. I don't care who you are, the Dallas Cowboys, the freaking Washington Commandos or Commanders,
whatever they're going to be,
whatever.
The Red Rockets, the Washington Red Rockets.
From top to bottom, you lose a core piece of your line. You better have a mobile quarterback.
Outside of news on that, did you happen to catch any of the preseason games?
Yeah, I did the Rams game, and then I watched the Niners and the Raiders game, and a little bit of the Packers, like the first half of the Packers game. Yeah,
I stopped watching the Packers after they were just blowing out the team that they were playing. I don't even remember who they were playing. They were just blowing them out.
Yeah, it's fine. It's sad because it was Cincinnati.
It was the Bengals, yeah.
But the Bengals practice squad. Come on.
Oh, of course. They're not going. It's the first. It's the first preseason game. They're not going to have anybody out there. And with the Bengals, they're still worried about Burrow. There's speculation that calf sprain is more than what the team's leading on. So that's going to be one to watch as well to see when is Burrow going to come back from that. They're hoping it's not anything to do with the Achilles, because if it's the Achilles and he's out, that's a completely different team.
He's done.
Yeah, it is.
He's done. That team is done.
Yeah.
That team is done.
The team will probably compete, but nowhere near where it would have with Burrow. So that is definitely something to watch. But with the preseason games, we did get a glimpse of some of these highly touted quarterbacks and some under-the-radar quarterbacks that a lot of people have not been talking about. Bryce Young, number 1 overall, was running for his life in Carolina. It really highlighted the fact that their offensive line has problems. He was only sacked once. He had multiple knockdowns. He was constantly running. Of course, you had to see his athleticism because there was no other way. He only had 21 yards, and it was 4 of 6 passing. So not very much that he could have possibly shown in that game because of the fact that he could not stand back long enough to do anything.
That's the terrible drawback of being the number 1 overall pick if you're a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go to a team that has a staunch line.
No.
You're going to go to a team that has a Swiss cheese line.
Oh, of course. We all remember David Carr going to Houston.
Yeah,
and he had a ton of potential. He could have been just like his brother, and maybe even better, and had an excellent career. But he couldn't stay healthy because he was constantly getting hit.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Speaking of his brother, his brother looked pretty good.
His brother did look pretty good, and I think that change over to New Orleans is going to do him extremely well. And guess who he's working with? They called in Drew Brees to help him.
Oh, yeah. I saw Drew Brees talking about it.
Yeah, Drew Brees, they called him in, and he's been mentoring him, trying to get him up to pace, trying to get him into the feel of the city and everything else. So I think that's going to work wonders for him. Another one of those highly touted quarterbacks, the number 2 pick, C.J. Stroud, played terrible. Again, went into Houston. That's a terrible situation in Houston. First pass that he had, first possession, pick. Just threw a pick right away. And of course, he's going against that defense I was talking about. He was playing the Patriots. So they had their starting defense in. That defense was out for blood. They were trying to just completely annihilate him. He settled in a little bit, but still, he only went 2 for 4 for 13 yards. Again, it's the first preseason game. There's not going to be much that you're going to see from them, but we didn't see a whole lot when he wasn't. So that's another one to watch in that situation in Houston. I think he may he's going to get better as the season goes along, but that's going to be one of those that it's going to take some work. It's not going to be one of those, he's going to be the savior of your team.
Oh, yeah.
He had that highlight when he played the Georgia defense, but outside of that, his college career was hit or miss. So we'll see how that goes. Anthony Richardson, that's another one. When he was playing again against a top tier defense, he was playing against the Bills. He went 7 for 12 for 67 yards. Showed a lot of his mobility. He has that raw talent, that unteachable talent that makes him elite. He is going to be an elite quarterback, but it's the touch on his passes. You know, is he going to get that accuracy? Is he going to stay back in the pocket long enough to throw it? Or is he going to fall back on, I can do everything and I'm going to run the ball instead of throwing it? That's going to determine how he's going to be.
That depends on how the coaching staff tries to rein it in.
Yep, true. I agree with that. But it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to work that in, because yes, he is one of those freakish athletes. The dude is huge. He's a massive, massive guy. But he's, again, like Cam Newton. He's that very, very big, very strong quarterback who's mobile. Are you going to kill him in the first 3 seasons, or are you going to allow him to mature and work on that passing game? So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Probably the one that stands out the most to me, because I got to see him in two games, because they played in the Hall of Fame game and they just played their second game against the Jets, was Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA. Not a lot of talk about him during the draft. The Browns brought him in. Anybody that watched Pac-12, which is no longer the Pac-12, which pisses me off, but anybody that watched Pac-12 football when he was in, you saw what he was. He is the best thing that I can kind of liken him to is Michael Vick.
Yeah.
He is that very fast, twitchy, running quarterback that also has a cannon for an arm. He can unleash a 60-yard bomb like nothing.
Just a flick.
Yeah, and he lit up both teams that he played in both games. So they're already kind of speculating that the 5th rounder is going to overtake Joshua Dobbs as the backup quarterback to Deshaun Watson. And if that happens, he could be the heir apparent to Deshaun Watson once Watson moves on. So that's something to watch for that team, because he is going to be a superstar based on what we're seeing from him.
I love how you put it, because nobody goes to the Browns to retire as a quarterback of the Browns.
Exactly. You know damn well that he's not staying there. If there's a team that opens up a situation where he can go in and compete for a Super Bowl and it's a top tier city, he's going. He's not going to stay for the Browns. Yep. As much as Browns Nation doesn't want to hear it, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, for sure. That's how it's going to be.
I mean, it's going to be LeBron all over again.
Oh, damn.
I don't mean to cut him deep, but that's exactly what it's going to be.
That's deep.
All right. So that is just touching on some of these quarterbacks that we got a chance to see in the preseason. It's going to be fun to see them throughout the preseason and the start of the regular season, how they develop. I want to jump into our tiers that we have here. So we have quarterback tiers that we both kind of developed. Kev, so let's take a look at your quarterback tiers. Why don't we start with the elite talent, the top of the cream of the crop. Let's go ahead and start breaking them down, and we can go from there.
All right. So, of course, number one, top dog, king of them all, in the top of the tier, because I broke them down by where they fit in the tiers. Of course, it's Patrick Mahomes. You know, the NFL's daddy right now.
Yep.
Need I say more?
He's undisputed. I mean, there's nobody that's going to question that.
Yeah, no. Next under him is Josh Allen. I mean, all Josh Allen's done is try to keep up with Patrick Mahomes since he's gotten to the league, and he's done pretty damn good doing that. Yeah, he doesn't have the championships, but I mean, he's got the numbers right behind him.
He's got the talent. I mean, talent-wise, he's right there with him. You could arguably go 1A, 1B with those two. Mahomes would take it over him just simply because of the championships.
depending on which region you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Next after that, I have Joe Burrow, 3-1, 4-1 against Mahomes. That says something.
he's had an extremely good career against Mahomes.
That says something.
Yeah.
That's
yes, it is. I know you don't want to say it, but yes, it is.
That's Jalen. Jalen Hurts. I mean, all he's done is just almost win MVP. Wasn't for that darn Patrick Mahomes.
He's been in.
Yeah. Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
And one thing real quick that I want to touch on with your top tier, there's a kind of a situation or kind of a skill set that we're seeing with these quarterbacks. It's not only that they're able to put up massive amount of passing yards, but these quarterbacks are also dual threats. And I think this is kind of what you've seen the NFL move towards the last couple seasons. You have Mahomes posting 358 yards last year, 4 rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen had almost 800 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, almost 800 yards, 13 rushing touchdowns. And then you had Joe Burrow with 257 and 5 for the rushing yards and touchdowns. So, I mean, you're definitely seeing that kind of molding for these quarterbacks, where if you're in that top portion of your draft and you're looking at quarterbacks, it's probably going to be a better bet to look for one of those dual threat quarterbacks than it is to do a standard pocket passer, because you're going to get that utility and that double bonus potential from both of those or all of those quarterbacks that we just listed. A
tier. Number 1 on the A tier, we got Lamar Jackson. Because when the man is healthy, the man is bad. When they have a line, he's even worse.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 2 for the A tier, I got Justin Herbert. All Justin Herbert's done is just be good despite how bad his coaching has been over his entire career. And I know people might say I'm crazy, but Dak Prescott is 3 in the A tier.
Oh, he's an A tier. Yeah, I agree with you. He's an A tier.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have him in my A, but he is on that precipice of an A or a B. A high B, mid to low range A is where I have him.
That's probably where a lot of people would say he's at. Then, of course, I got Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to say nothing about him.
No.
And then we got T-Law, Trevor Lawrence. Just erase that first year he had, because, I mean, you had a guy who had no idea what the hell he was doing as a head coach of an NFL team.
Well, and again, he was running for his life as well. How many hits did he take that year? It was insane the amount that he was getting hit. The only thing that was better than his play last year was his hair. That's it.
Yeah, man, that hair. If I could have that hair, man.
Sorry.
And then some people might disagree, but I mean, Derek Carr is an A-tier quarterback. You can't have an argument against it. He got them into the playoffs during a year which was like terrible for a team that had just barely established itself into a new city.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately he got hurt and couldn't play.
Yep. And we've been talking about him since we started the podcast. Him going to New Orleans is going to be a completely new experience for him.
A lot of haters are going to freaking change their minds.
Yeah. Look at the talent they have on the team.
Yeah. Guys who actually want to work too.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there too.
And how long has it been since Mike Thomas had an actual quarterback?
Drew Brees.
Anybody that's sitting back thinking that Mike Thomas is going to be the Mike Thomas they've seen over the last 3 to 4 seasons is insane. Mike Thomas is going to be a top 10 wide receiver at the end of the season.
He's going to have a competent quarterback. Sorry, Jameis. King of the B tier, we got Kirk Cousins, because I mean, he's money in the regular season.
He can't buy a win in the playoffs.
Nope.
It just don't happen. So yeah, I agree with that. He's another one of those that's a hit or miss quarterback. He has his amazing games, and then a week later we'll just lay an egg. He'll just be terrible. He'll throw like 3 picks. He's just not reliable enough for me to take for my team. Now, if I'm 7 or 8 rounds in and I need a quarterback, I might look at him. I might, but I'll probably look somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if any of the guys in A tier are still available.
Mm-hmm.
Any of them.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, we got Tua. If he's okay, if he doesn't take any big hits, I mean, he's got the fastest freaking wide receivers on both sides of him. You can't go wrong with him as long as he stays upright and healthy. Next we got Justin Fields. I didn't catch the game, but I did catch highlights, and it looks like the Bears are gonna let the reins loose on him when it comes to throwing.
They need to.
And holy crap, when he threw the ball, dimes, man. Just
they're dimes. And when you were looking at it too, he's another one that has a cannon. It needs to be reined in a little bit. He needs to get more accurate in his deep ball throws. But he's another one 50 to 60 yards down the field. If you need that Hail Mary type play, or if you have a receiver that's going to take the top off, he can get it there.
I was about to say, he don't need to dial nothing back. And receivers need to get faster.
They need to actually give him receivers.
Yeah.
Which they're trying to do. DJ Moore is there. We'll see what happens. But
man. First play, did you see the first time he touched the ball?
He did. Wasn't it like an end around? It was an end around.
Yeah,
I did see it. It was an end around, and he went like 50, 55 yards for a touchdown. I did see that, yes.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
That's what he brings to the table. He did that in Carolina too.
Next, we got Deshaun Watson. We already talked about him in episode 1, what we expect him to do. But until I see that actually in the season, I've got him in the B tier.
See, this is where I differ from you just a little bit. I can go off of what I've seen from Deshaun on a lesser team. Because when he was in Houston, he didn't really have that much talent around him. You didn't have really that much. You had DeAndre Hopkins for a little while. You had Brandon Cooks again for a little while. And then it was just hit or miss players. So it wasn't it wasn't anything that you would be like, oh man, those were elite talent. You got Randy Moss on your team. No, he had to make do with what he had. Yes, D-Hop was an elite receiver, but outside of that, you just had slot guys that were just getting open for him to find them. So I think he's going to have a breakout season for Cleveland. I have him high. I wouldn't mind drafting him in the first 7 rounds. That's just me. If I had my choice between Cousins and Deshaun Watson, I'm taking Watson every day of the week.
Easy.
Every day of the week.
Easy. Easy. Because you know what happens when Deshaun Watson gets into the end zone? Deshaun Watson's either going to get it in himself, or he's got that big tight end Njoku. Bloop. I mean, at least he's higher than Russell Wilson.
True, and that's another one who might have a resurgence this year with the coach they brought in.
From what Sean Payton is saying, that he's looking like the old Russ, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that division, but
no,
it's not a good look if Russ is looking like the old Russ. It's not a good look.
That's going to be pretty scary. They did lose a wide receiver on their team, the guy who can never stay healthy, Patrick. He can never stay healthy. I think he's been injured the last 4 seasons.
But they still got Jared Jeudy, though.
They have Jeudy. They have Sutton. They have Dolch at tight end. And Dolch came on pretty strong last year. And that was with Russ running for his life again. That line was terrible. It was awful last season. Yeah. He couldn't stay upright. It was nuts.
He better have bought them something nice on the off season.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and now moving on to the king of the C tier, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is the king of the C tier because he fell all the way the fuck off. You go from the height of winning the Super Bowl to being basically the worst rated quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that had to do with Kupp leaving, with Kupp getting injured. When Kupp got injured, the whole fucking team fell apart.
But see, that's why you don't just focus on you can't just use one guy.
I agree, but they can't find a running back to save their damn life.
Well,
And I mean, they're going to rely on Akers. Akers has been hit or miss with them. Then they had some other people that were there. It's just when the team heavily relies on one player, you're absolutely correct. If that player goes down, you're screwed. And we saw it. We saw that happen.
Exactly. Then next is Jared Goff. Personally, I think if Jared Goff could play better consistently, he could be in that B, almost like maybe top 3 B tier.
Yep. We might see it. We might see it this season.
Then you got Daniel Jones, of course. He's a C. Might go down to a D. Geno Smith, if he puts a year together like he did again last year, then he can be one of those B plus A minus quarterbacks for you.
Did you see him on the sidelines?
Nah.
That dude is jacked, bro. He had to have put on 15, 20 pounds of just muscle. Dude is jacked.
I mean, freaking Bosa was tearing his butt up last year, so he's like, I need to get ready for this.
Dude, they panned over to him. They're like, and here's Geno's. I was like, what the fuck? That looks like a linebacker. What the hell are you talking about?
It's like the transition from Dave Chappelle when he left for Africa when he came back.
Yeah.
It's like, this nigga look like he ate a horse.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we'll see what happens with him, but I agree. Right now he is a solid C. He's in the C.
Bottom tier C is Brock Purdy / Trey Lance, whoever's going to be quarterback. Looks like it's going to be Brock Purdy after yesterday because Trey Lance just couldn't do anything right. Whether it was the line just being complete trash or him having rookie jitters, which he shouldn't because he ain't a rookie.
True, but he only played what? 3 games?
3 games, yeah. So yeah.
No, actually, he only played 1 game. He got hurt in the first game.
That's right.
So he technically is a rookie.
That's right. Okay. All right. Okay, he's a rookie. Okay.
So I mean, we'll see what I don't want to jump the gun and throw him under the bus right now because we've only seen him in the contest for half of a game and for like a third of a preseason game. So we'll see if he can get the rust off, but we know what Purdy has done. Purdy is, in my opinion, going to be an elite talent, whether it's for the 49ers or whether he goes to a different team. He's going to be a top tier quarterback down the line. He's going to be one of those quarterbacks that you're going to want to be taking.
We'll see. If he continues what he did last year, then sky's the limit for him. Space is the limit for him.
Oh yeah. All right, let's start. Let's start hitting on shit row.
Yeah. So king of the Dookie Brown is Kyler Murray. After him, Kenny Pickett. I'm not explaining nothing for any of these.
No, you don't have to explain anything for any of these.
Ryan Tannehill. Jimmy G is there because Jimmy G needs to show that he can stay healthy and be the guy. Jordan Love, haven't seen enough of him. Baker Mayfield, don't need to say anything about that. Bryce Young, you saw him in preseason. And then
if they can't fix that line, he's in trouble.
F tier, Mac Jones, Jacoby Brissett, just because he's in Washington. Anthony Richardson, because we haven't seen enough of him. Samuel Howell, because he's in Washington. Desmond Ridder, because, and CJ Stroud.
All right. So jumping over to mine, we have a lot of the same people listed in S tier, of course, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. There's no question of those. I could move Joe Burrow into S tier. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with this injury. If the injury is a major injury where it's something where he's going to miss significant time, it's definitely going to cause some issues. That's the only reason I have him in A tier. Outside of that, he would be an S tier all day long. A tier, really, for me, I only have 2 other quarterbacks that fall into the A tier. That's Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. B tier, Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Tua, and Aaron Rodgers. Some of those, we'll see what happens this season. They could move up into A tier. You could possibly pick them up from free agency in your leagues. But I do see big things from Trevor Lawrence, big things from Deshaun Watson. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is going to ball just to tell everybody to shut the hell up. So we're going to see some numbers from them.
Still get spanked by Pat Mahomes.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. With everything that they've added to that team, they may roll into Kansas City and just decimate them. I'm curious to see how Kansas City's defense is going to look this season, because that's really going to set the bar for teams to see, is their defense going to be able to maintain. C tier, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Brock Purdy. Again, some of those are probably going to move up into B and A tier. But right now, just based on preseason and based off offseason, I have them in the C. D tier, again, Jordan Love, because we haven't seen much from him. We've only seen him in maybe 6 or 7 games. Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Kyler Murray, who might lose his starting job this season. Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud round out the D tier. And then you have Shit Street. You have F tier, Anthony Richardson. He's not going to start, even though everybody has that talk that he is going to start. I don't see him starting. He has, again, that elite, unteachable skill set, but is still very raw and still needs to get a lot of work done to be able to be a starting quarterback. Mac Jones, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, and Jacoby Brissett. So those are the F tier. So we have a lot of the same quarterbacks. We have them in different areas. My areas are solely based off what I saw from them last season, what I saw in the offseason, and then what the live projections are for them this season. So they may go up, they may go down. You're definitely going to see movement. Outside of that,
Richardson will start, but it won't be till like week 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's not gonna start the season. He will take over, but there's no way. It's just not a good situation to have him jump in and start right away. And
actually, all it takes is one drunken night for Jim Irsay. He might start the season.
Hey, if he's rolling on some rails, you never know what's going to happen. But one thing I do want to mention as well is we kind of alluded to watching Hard Knocks, and one thing that I did see with Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers is having a very positive outlook on Zach Wilson. So you're seeing some things from Zach. Again, we're just right into the preseason, so we'll see how this kind of grows throughout the season. But you're seeing him more accurate, taking time on his throws, learning things that he should have been able to, but he was thrown into that situation. That's why go ahead.
You know how I feel about Zach Wilson? Fuck him. Because he lit us the fuck up. And then the very next week, he's seeing fucking ghosts.
Yeah.
Fuck him. No, it's good. It's good. I'd like to see him bounce back.
Anytime that you have a quarterback that's thrown into a situation like that, it's a terrible, terrible thing to see, because he is a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. But when you're thrown into it and you don't get that opportunity to sit behind a veteran and learn how things are in the NFL, it's completely different than college.
Yeah.
And you're getting smacked in the face with that every single week. So him behind an elite talent, behind a Hall of Famer, you might see him blossom into something that they were looking for the whole time. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's my tiers. We're going to move over to our top 10 overall quarterbacks. And we might have some differences on this as well. But we'll see how that pans out when we're going through them right now. The picks that are on here, the top 10 that we've kind of taken a look at and made for our fans to be able to build off of and to look and see what our thoughts are for how we would pick our quarterback within our drafts. they line out like this. I mean, you have Pat Mahomes number one. There's no way around the fact that he's going to be the number one quarterback. You look at his last,
may even be number one overall if you got one of those idiots in your draft.
Yep, exactly. Hey, everybody has one. His 2022 fantasy points, he had 416 points. His projected is 385. Yeah, 416 was crazy. And they're projecting him at 385. I think that's conservative. I can see him getting to 400 again. You got Josh Allen at number 2. Allen last year, 396 fantasy points. They have him projected 380. I think they're right on. He's going to be that 380, 390. Depending on what he does in the run game, if he posts a couple more touchdowns, we could see him possibly get to the 400. And then, as Kevin kind of alluded to, he doesn't agree with Jalen Hurts being number 3. The only reason I have him at number 3 over Burrow is because of the athleticism and the fact that he is that dual threat. He's going to give you those higher range of touchdowns on the ground, maybe even double digits, and the possibility of the double bonus in any given game that he's going to be in. That's the only reason I have him at 3.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow's got swag, yo.
He's got swag, but he did not have 13 rushing touchdowns last season.
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Number 4, Joe Burrow. They had him last season. 350 fantasy points is what he finished with. They have him projected 346. I can see him 350, 360 if he's healthy. And that is the question right now. Is he healthy? He has that calf strain. He's possibly going to miss a couple games this season. They have not come out yet, which is kind of scary for most Cincinnati fans. They have not come out to say exactly what the injury is. So we're still waiting on that one. Justin Herbert at number 5. Some people are probably throwing things at their TV right now. Why isn't Lamar there? Why isn't such and such there? Justin Herbert has been a better quarterback. Lamar just has not. You can see it in the fantasy perspective right there. Last year, Justin Herbert put up 279 fantasy points, projected 325 for this season. Again, he's another one that could probably get to the 350 mark. Lamar put up 236.
Lamar was hurt, though.
Granted, no, I know he was hurt.
Oh, well, Justin was too.
Justin was too, but he still put up 279.
Yeah.
You have a tale of two cities when you're talking about these quarterbacks. You have Justin Herbert, who is that stand in the pocket. I'm going to gun it for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns a game. I'm going to give you that yardage. Then you have Lamar, who's going to split. He's going to give you 150 and 150 and 2 touchdowns on both sides. So he's going to give you the rushing and the passing, which kind of diminishes his fantasy points from time to time. Mm-hmm. So they have him at 335 is what we're projecting for his fantasy points. It could be a little bit more now that he's healthy. He has some people on his team. He's got OBJ. He's got Mark Andrews, which is going to OBJ is going to open up more opportunities to Andrews. We're going to have to see what's going to happen with the running game. Is that going to help Lamar? Is it going to hurt Lamar? But we could see 350 for fantasy points for Lamar. Number 7, Aaron Rodgers. They had the last season with the Packers was not very good. He was dealing with a lot of young players.
Man, he was pulling the James Harden. only thing he didn't do that James Harden does is add 25 pounds, show up 25 pounds heavier.
It was all the ayahuasca. It kept the weight down. Where he would have walked into the game with a bucket of chicken and be like, "Where's my beer?"
Like James Harden's the only guy that can gain 25 pounds on a team he don't want to be on. And then when he gets traded to the team he wants to be on, first day of training camp, he's freaking 30 pounds lighter.
Yep,
and
Exactly. So, yeah, I agree. But Aaron did have to deal with a lot of young talent. The receiving core that he had was either extremely old with Randall Cobb or first year, second year wide receivers that were extremely green, which developed over the season. But now that he has the talent around him in New York, we're going to see his point value kind of explode we could see him top 3 or 4 by the end of the season. We have him conservatively at 300 fantasy points. I can see him probably 350, 360, just based on with Dalvin Cook. This was made before we got the Dalvin Cook news. With the receiving capabilities that Dalvin brings to that team.
Yeah,
that is easily 350 now. So he could probably jump up to where Justin Herbert is. At 8, we have Trevor Lawrence. Last year, he posted 295 fantasy points. We have him looking around the 300 mark for this season. They added Calvin Ridley to that team. Ridley's coming off of nearly 2 years of not being in the league. But I still think he's going to be one of those comeback player kind of guys that's going to give Trevor something that he hasn't had. And that's saying a lot since they had Kirk on the team. They had Zay Jones. They had Marvin Jones. They had a lot of talent, Evan Ingram. But Calvin Ridley is just that next level receiving talent. We saw it in Atlanta. I think he's going to bring that to Jacksonville.
Real quick on Aaron Rodgers, how you going to feel when he does the first time he does the discount double check for the Jets?
I don't think he's going to do the discount double check.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, I don't think he will.
You don't think he's not going to do it to rub it in y'all's faces?
Nope,
you don't think so? Oh, man, we should put money on it.
If he does, it's water under the bridge. He's gone. So it don't bother me. It does bother me. All right, so number 9, we got Deshaun Watson. Dismal 86 points last season, but again, he was gone for almost all of the season on suspension. We have him at 300. Again, he could go up from the 300, but just a conservative margin for what we're seeing from him. 300 fantasy points is what we're projecting. And then rounding out the top 10, we have Dak. I don't care what people say. You're just like me with where Dak is. Dak is a top 10 talent. You added Brandon Cooks onto that team in the slot, which gives him another receiver. You have Gallup coming back from injury. You have CeeDee Lamb.
Have you seen how Brandon Cooks is just lighting the F up over there?
No, I haven't, but I'm excited to. I'm not a Cowboys fan in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we have a Cowboys fan in the family, and it's just it's a fight every time we play you guys because with Green Bay, it's just constant back and forth, back and forth. But I haven't seen it. I'm interested to see how the Cowboys are going to fare with the talent that you've added in, with the talent that you've had that's now healthy. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys do. But looking at his fantasy production last year, 199 fantasy points. There were some injuries on that team that really held him back. We have him at 282. He's probably easily going to get to the 300, maybe go over the 300, but just conservative based off what we saw over the last 2 seasons. We're looking at 282.
Yeah.
So how we feel about this, Kev? We feel that this is a solid top 10?
Yeah, I would say it's a solid top 10. I would put Joe and Justin ahead of Jalen, but that's just me. Yes, I mean, I had Josh in one of my fantasy leagues last year, and I had Justin in the other. Yep.
And just to quickly run down where we may see these guys possibly go, Pat Mahomes could go first or second round. He is going to go second round. There's no way around it. He will go.
No. Yeah.
Allen is possibly going to go first round. He will go in the second round. We're going to see runs on quarterbacks early. Jalen, end of the second round, early third rounds. Burrow the same time, unless you get one of those quarterback heavy leagues where you have people just grabbing them right away. Herbert, you're going to see him fourth or fifth. Same with Lamar. Same with Aaron. Trevor Lawrence, you'll see him probably fifth or sixth. Deshaun, fifth or sixth. And then Dak will be probably mid to end of sixth, early seventh is where I can see these quarterbacks going.
When quarterbacks used to go around that.
Yeah.
That's when quarterbacks used to start going.
Well, it's nobody really has strategies anymore. I mean, we see a lot of I follow a couple different strategies, but a lot of times when you're in a league, mostly with people that don't know what they're doing, they're just going to start drafting. They're taking kickers in like the 7th round because they want Justin Tucker. They're taking the 49ers in the 9th round. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Taking George Kittle in the first.
Oh my God, it's just so stupid. I'm just like, God, guys. I mean, so let me quickly run through. I already did one draft for one of my teams, and I'll go through real quick what my team looks like, and then you can ask me what the hell was the people in the draft thinking, because my team, I think, actually turned out pretty well. I'm excited what I have on my team. So just to run through it, Deshaun at quarterback, Austin Eckler running back 1, Joe Mixon running back 2, Garrett Wilson wide receiver 1, Chris Olave wide receiver 2, Darren Waller tight end, Calvin Ridley in flex, Saints defense, Jason Myers for my kicker. That's my starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the bench, I have James Cook, AJ Dillon. I have Smith Njeba, whatever the guy's name is, the rookie for Seattle. Mm-hmm. OBJ, Raheem Mostert, Dalton Kincaid, and Elijah Moore.
Okay, you'll be dropping Raheem Mostert in like 3 weeks.
Oh, I probably will. I think Raheem was my Mr. Irrelevant pick. It was the very last pick.
Okay.
The only reason I took him is he was the top rated running back. So,
okay.
But I'm sitting in this draft, and this guy auto picks right in front of me, and he set his roster, his queued players.
Mm-hmm.
So he picks his. I forget what his 1, 2, and 3 picks were, but then from there he picks Justin Tucker, Carlson, and Butker. Back to back to back.
What?
Hold on. He's auto picking. So this is how his queue is set up. Then he picks Buffalo, New England, and I think the Niners. Back to back to back. And then he picks whatever tight ends were there. The next available tight ends, he picks 3 in a row. So his team was complete garbage, but he was screwing me out of picks. He was doing it on purpose.
Yes, I was about to say trade bait. He's using it for trade bait.
That's exactly what he's doing. But anybody that has any kind of smarts in this isn't going to bite on that, because you can get talent. Defenses really don't matter, and I hate to say that, but at the end of the day, defenses don't matter. You can play any defense you want just based off of who they're playing. Yes, you'll have those top 5 defenses that you want to play, but they're interchangeable. So if you want to go and take 3 back-to-back-to-back defenses, go right ahead. I'm not going to be trading with you. The same for kickers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I could have seen it if you went back-to-back on elite quarterbacks.
Trash.
But seeing those go in the draft that I was in was just kind of ridiculous. So I'm really hoping I don't have to deal with that again. But yeah, I mean, that was our top 10. I think it's a solid top 10. We could see some movement on the top 10, but yeah, I mean, that's where I think everything's going to kind of fall in line with those. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, as I think about it, I'm going to take it back. Jalen is in front of Joe because we don't know when we're going to see Joe.
Yep. And even if Joe is there, the only reason I have Jalen there is the amount of touchdowns he puts in on the ground. And now that you don't have that running game in Philly, it's up in the air right now because you got rid of your top tier running back. He's going to have to take on more of that running game.
Ouch.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that was our quarterback breakdown.
Getting way ahead of yourself, buddy.
That was our quarterback breakdown. So let us know in the comments if you have any differences from where we are. If you have anybody that you think is a little bit too high. But yeah, we like to read the comments and see exactly where we're going. I know that I had some people lighten me up on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts because I had Carlson over Tucker. Everybody was losing their mind. But again, it's they're two
Who's
A and B.
kick more field goals? Come on,
It's 1A, 1B. And I mean, last season, if you looked at it, Carlson was a little bit better than Tucker. Yes, Tucker is the best kicker of all time. He's the
Carlson
most accurate
kicked
kicker of all
goals.
time.
Carlson kicked more longer field goals.
Yeah,
That's why.
He did. He kicked more 50-yard field goals, and he made more extra points. So that's the only reason I put him number one. We can't go off of an entire career when we're looking at fantasy numbers. Yes, he's
because
Tucker is number one.
if we did that, Brett Maher would be in the top 3. And he's in the bottom 4.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean Tucker is number one all time. I'm not debating that. He is the best kicker. He's still got time He's still got time in the book too, so he's going to add to that. But for just last season and what I think is going to happen this season, based off of what they have in Las Vegas, Carlson's the better pick.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get into that when we go over our kicker tiers and all that stuff. So, but thank you for joining us again. We have our Discord. Discord link is going to be down below in our description. We have our social feeds, so you're going to be able to go and join our social feeds. I'm going to have a link tree down in the description as well. It's going to have everything that we have. We are still developing memberships, so stay tuned on that. We will have more information. But outside of that, this is another successful episode running through quarterbacks. We will have running backs coming next and then move our way down the line. And then, of course, regular season's right around the corner. I'm excited. You excited, Kev?
Oh, yeah. And as my grandson says all the time, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Like and subscribe. Definitely. All right. Well, until the next one, thank you very much for tuning in and have a good one.